Hello everybody, Cooper here, and welcome back to a bit of a different video here on AFL 26. It is related to my career mode series with Port Adelaide. I hope you're all doing very well today. What this is it's not going to be a gameplay video, but it is something that I've been wanting to do for a little while. It's basically maybe 5 or 6 things that I have learnt playing management career mode so far this year on AFL 26. I must say, it is a much more enjoyable experience than doing it on AFL 23. It's a lot more detailed. Hopefully I'll be able to show you some of the highlights of the game mode so far, what to look out for, and things that I believe are important to success in this game mode. So we're going to start off with a few different bits and pieces, such as a few obvious things, and then we're going to get into maybe the bit more of the nitty-gritty stuff towards the back end of the video. First thing we're going to look at in this video is our salary cap expenses and our list management sort of portion of the video, not just for the AFL side, but also for the AFLW and the SANFL as well. We're going to be looking at this through the lenses of an entire club. Now, first order of business is we want to obviously keep as much salary cap space and flexibility as we can. So one tip that I do have for those who, and this can apply to any team that you are doing, whether it be an AFL club or you're just in control of an AFLW club, or any team throughout the league system, is you want to sign up to your best players to the longest deal that you possibly can or that you can possibly afford. So with the example, Connor Rozee, he is our captain and he has been one of the stars of our series so far. He was already contracted through to 2032. Now, I probably would have done a similar thing anyway, but with Zach Butters, who was also one of our best players, he originally was going to expire at the end of 2026. Now, we could have given him a short 3-year extension, which possibly could have been less of a hit on the salary cap, but while his morale is high, we wanted to give him a longer term deal, because you can see morale is very high at the moment. Once that is at either low or very low, it is basically impossible to sign them up to a contract if you are playing on the hardest difficulty, which I am. Just to keep that in mind, if you keep them on a long-term deal, at least 5+ years, you didn't have to sign the full 6 to 7 year extension that I did. 5 years should be plenty, and obviously at whatever point of money you can afford is the most important. But in direct contrast to that, I would only apply that to guys that I don't want to get into overall numbers, but in terms of your most high rated players, so the likes of Butters, your Jack Lukosiuses, your Connor Rosees of the world. For those players who are very, very young, like your Whitlocks, you could probably only sign them to a bit of a shorter contract where you can sign them for up to 3 to 4 years at really only a base salary of under $200,000. Obviously, a player like Whitlock has a lot of potential. Another one like Anastopoulos is the same kind of player that we did the same thing with. But I know, for example, I did a bit of a test with this in a separate save that I've done sort of off camera. Harley Reid, for example, he was the number 1 pick, 2023, I think it was. And you can offer him at the start of the save file. I think it's a 3-year, $750,000 deal with West Coast, or if you did the full 9-year extension, you're looking at over $1.2 million. Obviously, that comes with pros and cons. You've got the security over a long period of time, but you're also shelling out up to $500,000 more over the course of a season. So it depends on what you value on your team. And also, don't be afraid to leave some players uncontracted, like Logan Evans, for example. I am probably going to keep him going into next season, but I have just given myself the flexibility of giving myself as much money to spend, because at this point we've got $3.2 million to spend on 13 players. That roughly equates to, if my maths is correct, about anywhere between $250,000 to $300,000 a player. So just to keep that in mind, that is one of my first tips. My next tip is also tied into recruitment and list management. Use your reserve team wisely if you choose to have control over it. One thing that I have done, which I did highlight inside my AFL 26 management series, is with SANFL recruiting. I've actually put a short list together of players that I do want to put onto my team For next season, you can sort of shortlist players from other state leagues and other under 18 squads, and even players that are already within your competition. But if we actually have a look at the player contracts for next season, you can see that I've already signed up a whole bunch of players, and a lot of these players were not on my list at the start of the season. You can actually add players to your list through the mid-season draft, and I've actually recruited some players from the under 18s championship through to my reserve side to have an early look at them to see if it's actually worth me drafting them in the future. You can have a look at a guy, I'm trying to think of a good regen here, if I can find one. A guy like Axel Doherty here is a good sign. Now, he is a 73 overall, but he only has the 73 to 84 potential, so he's probably one that we are going to give a miss here. Someone like Jason Little, 81 to 92 potential, is a little bit more accurate. And the reason that I want to get a look at this is actually tied into my next point. In your coaching and staff attributes that you get to allocate at the start of a season, for example, if you had your 4-star list management, even though mine is 3 stars across the board, if mine was above 3 stars and my opposition analysis or my state league scouts or even the under 18 scouts were below the level of my list management, I would be able to get a better indication of how much potential this player actually has for the future, how much room they have to grow, and how much I think they could potentially develop at a later date. So one thing in the future that I will be looking at upgrading is my list management as well as just my scouting in general. As you can see, we only have a certain amount of soft cap to spend. There's only one way to, I believe, increase this and increase your budget that you can spend, and that is by, which ties into my next point, taking care of your objectives at basically the start of the season and the end of the season. This is the only way to earn money throughout the season, I believe. So choose wisely. Obviously, if you think your team's going to be bad, choose the lowest level objective. If you think you're a Premiership contender, maybe consider going for the higher one. But I picked one that was sort of middle of the road. I didn't know how Port Adelaide were going to go. But in terms of your season objectives, they should be reasonably achievable for you to get. That way your total balance, which you can see my available funds, is around $1,800,000. From a week-to-week basis, you are going to lose money. That is just essentially how it works. So the thing that will keep you afloat is going to be your sponsorships and match objectives. So even if you are necessarily losing a game, or if you're really struggling to make a successful season, try and get as many match objectives as you can. Obviously, mine are on the hardest difficulty, so scoring 28 goals in the game can be difficult for someone who is playing the game for the first time. But 25 defensive spoils should be pretty easy, as well as scoring 11 behinds. So getting this done will keep your team financially secure and make you able to spend more money in the future. The last thing I am going to look at here, and is probably the most important thing from a gameplay point of view, is the conditioning of your players matter. And we experienced this very painfully a couple of episodes ago. I think it was the game up against Geelong, where we were playing very well. We hadn't lost a game up until that point. We had dealt with a few one-off injuries, but then all of a sudden we ran out of conditioning and we basically couldn't move, and we lost by 10 goals. And this was a team that was winning comfortably most weeks. So one thing that I do recommend, oversee your coaching and development personally. Don't just sort of set it to the side and let the CPU take care of it for you. Really think about it, tailor it to your players, and that way you will get the best out of them and have them available for each and every week. If you can see a player that is getting low conditioning, such as in this example, Lukosius and Georgiades, who have basically played every week, try and give them as much rest as possible throughout the season. So set them up a personal training plan, which you can do. If we go to the coaching and player development, you can go to player coaching, you can select a player and set up their basic plan personally. I've done that with a couple of players where I've seen necessary. But also fatigue management. If you've got the budget, extend their recovery period. Same to go with the travel plans as well. That will obviously that's where some of your available funds will go, and increasing the morale of the players and the form of the players, as well as their physical health as well. So those are generally my tips that I have for this game so far. Obviously, I'm only just over halfway through my season. So if I come up with any more towards the end of the season, a lot of these don't actually have to do with the gameplay, but more just the management side of things. But hopefully this will give you guys a bit more of an enjoyable experience while managing a team in management career mode. If you have any more suggestions or any other tips that you want to give the audience, feel free to put them down in the comments. And if you want me to elaborate them further in a video, let me know down below as well. But that is going to do it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until then, I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys then. Bye!